back to the Forged Alliance Retard series with your host Nibelosky, bringing you some 3 versus 3 middle level-ish action, I would say. A fair mix of, I wouldn't say they were quite average Joes, but they are sort of middle-ish ranked players. A fairly naval-dominated map. I thought, given all the land battles I've been covering recently, I'd try and get one with a bit more naval warfare, and I think I've just stumbled across one in the form of this map, which name escapes me. But in any case, we'll look at the players, look at the teams. We'll look at these guys over here as Team 1, and the guys on the right as Team 2. We'll go straight over to the left-hand side. Going Burgundy at Cybrum, we have a sort of familiar face in the form of Girage. Has appeared in a few of my replays before. I'll slow this down, actually, make sure I actually get everybody in before the action starts. Getting the land factory up, and just below him, actually getting pushed out as I zoom out. Going UEF is Saxonia. Going, I think that's a white colour, looks like he's fairly uncoloured, as it were. Is that blue? I don't know. Oh no, he's actually blue, my apologies, just can't really see it on the UEF. And a sprinkling of PGen surrounding his air factory, which you would expect on a map like this, given the top and the bottom have direct naval access, but the mountains here prevent the middle from getting anywhere, so he is definitely going at the air factory first. Down here in orange, going Aeon is Sink Master, also taking an air factory and getting his hydro and economy sorted first. Interestingly enough, only one power generator down on the ground. Which is an interesting choice. He's gone straight for the hydro. He's queued up some more now. And bouncing over the ocean to the other side, we have GDP, which for those of you who don't know, that stands for Gross Domestic Product. I'm not sure whether that's what it stands for him, but in any case, we're going to just call him GDP. He has gone Cybran, first air, in a sort of a yellowish colour. What a number. It's interesting to see the different build orders. 3 power generators, hydro is still well on its way. Below GDP, in the middle slot, down here it is ZZ. Missing a top, I reckon, somewhere in that name, but I'll forgive him. And he has gone UEF, and I have to zoom out in that awful green colour. I'll either go for a lime green myself, but he has got for a greenish, sort of darker colour. And he's getting his hydro up with his commander as well. And last down here, going a very regal looking purple. In Seraphim, it is Alpha Storm. And the usual mesh of economy, little engineers piling out as they do. We bring it back up to speed, I go +2, get some stuff in the ocean. I'd like to say I've actually rolled back upon some advice given to me in my last video. In terms of the resolution of the video, I've gone back to 1980 by 1020. I believe that's it anyway. So I'm hoping when the processing is done, you should be able to see the names up here as they should be, lovely and large, and the icon should be a little bit clearer than before. Also 60 FPS should still be on. So hurrah, we're going to get good quality video for the masses. We have a transport coming out from Alpha Storm straight away, trying to claim the island. No such thing from Girage as of yet. So Alpha's the first one to blink in terms of getting this island. 4 mass points down here, but he can collect this one here later on. Perhaps fight for the one slightly closer to his opposite, which should belong to Sink Master. A couple of interceptors nicely covering off. Has he seen Alpha Storm, the incoming threat? I don't think he has. It's a curious thing as to whether or not he's going to take out that transport before it arrives. Looks like the interceptors have not seen him, no. So we have got the transport, the chariot from Aeon coming out from Sink Master, having happily landed. Uncontested at the top though, Girage is more interested, it would appear, to get his navy rolling out rather than economising. He's actually unopposed up here, ZZ, at the moment. Quite curious as to why... Very curious as to why GDP hasn't claimed it for himself.
You were moved.
And... Oh, hang on a second guys, I have to alt-tab out. I forgot to turn my TeamSpeak off, which is...
Disconnected.
There we go. That's my apology. Hoping that hasn't affected the video stream for you guys. Anyway, a couple of bombers out from Alpha Storm. And the first air engagement up here as well. Zizi's being covered off by his teammate at the moment. But it looks as if Team 2 have got a fairly good foothold. I think the next established battle we're going to be able to see, we're popping it back up to +1, why not? Down here is going to come between Syncmaster and Alpha Storm. Not really doing what he should be with those FAMs. Those Zuis should be wailing away with FAMs in reserve. Bring those Zuis back. He's got a anti-air defense, so he hasn't got PD up at the moment, Alpha Storm. Has got those bombers whisking away the Auroras. A nice little conflict down there. Be interesting to see who comes out on top. In terms of sheer numbers, those bombers should really be hitting, there we go, that factory, preventing any more Auroras from popping out. Fam getting taken out there as well, a ludicrous. Saxonia deciding that he's going to absolutely spam out. Whether there's a great idea having them there, considering that at the moment Alpha's managed to take the island, as has Zizi up here, very, very much so. He's got a few mech marines just to make sure he's not going to get dropped. A couple of land factories out as well, so those islands are nice and safe in the hands of Team 2. Judging by the scores at the top, always quite difficult to say. If we go on score alone, it looks as if Jirage is probably the most threatening player. You tend to find this, that score equates usually to economy. And has he done that? Let's have a look at, not Saxonia, sorry. Gonna have a look at Jirage. He's got a fair few actually. Yeah, he's definitely gone for mass. He's gone for a mass heavy upgrade. And he's also getting his navy into shape as well. He's got Tech 1 up here, but he has got Tech 2 on the way there as well. It's absolutely mesmerising how little you see when you take off the observer in this. That is Team 1 perspective. It's basically, you can't see a damn thing. He's got a couple of flying eyes over here scouting what's happening in the bases, but that's pretty much it. That's something I tend to find with the pro players against the more average Joes, is that the scouting's a lot different. Pro players seem to filter in scouting beautifully to their games. It's why they seem to have that sixth sense. They can tell where the threat is coming from. But not to worry, it's still very early on in the game. Knock this back up, get the navies rolling out. Has managed to successfully grab a couple of factories down here. Saxonia slowly but surely with these two engineers popping out some frigates. A nice amount of jesters as well. Those jesters are going to come apart though when they meet the Trident anti-air. Annoying, like, pesky little flies, the jesters. Especially if you get an early one unexpectedly. Some naval support in the form of a couple of attack subs from Alpha as well. It pops up to +3. Finally got a navy coming out from Zizi. I'm not sure whether really Zizi's job is to do that. It's a curious thing. It looks as if GDP and Zizi have switched roles, despite the fact that GDP is nearer to the coast. Having fulfilled that. It'll be interesting to see. Maybe I'm mistaken. Maybe those frigates anti-air isn't going to have as much effect as I would have thought. No, not they've all damaged the gestures, but I'm afraid those frigates are going to sink. 525 hit points a pop. He's probably taken out in total about 2 jesters worth of hit points, but they're all damaged. Finally, we see GDP getting himself involved in the naval game as well. Pop that up to, I could say Tech 2, pop that back up to +2. And that air support, Jirage, oh dear, having his front island taken away from him. Surprisingly, no one actually having gone for this one here. Every mass extractor counts, guys. I'm genuinely surprised no one's gone forward for that one there. Jirage asking where the air is, and quite rightly so. In fact, yeah, we've got a collection of hummingbirds here. So he has got the scout idea down, but very, very air dominant is, I can't remember which one it is, Team 2 I think over here. And Alpha actually doing an absolutely fantastic job at the moment in terms of pushing back and seizing the advantage. However, that economy is very telling indeed, Alpha. You're going to have to concentrate on perhaps getting those mass extractors upgraded. We compare it to Jiraj's base. He does have a collection of Tech 2, but that one's only just being finished. Get rid of some of these menus, just clogging up the screen. No Tech 2 at the moment. As I say it, Jiraj always proving me wrong. He has got a cruiser out, but it's going to be met with 5 Tiger Sharks coming out the northern island up here. It's as if Sync Master has managed to get a bit of a, I say proxy base. He's got a land factory down here, so he has got defence. He's got a sonar in the water as well to prevent people from surprising him. Jiraj now bringing up the tridents. Has he got actually any said? He's got a Barracuda in there. Oh, you don't send a cruiser in first, Jiraj. That's a support unit. Those Tiger Sharks being brought back. Perhaps, I don't know whether ZZ has seen the threat. He hasn't. Surprisingly, has he actually got a sonar system in there? He's got a torpedo launcher. Has he got a sonar? Sonar as important as a radar. Well, the ocean, especially on a map like this. I shall stop being critical. I can't even play as well as anyone in this game, so I shall try and be more productive in my commentary. That Barracuda with a fantastic amount of range. If we slow that down, it's a fascinating battle, watching submarines duking it out. You see all of those missiles, some of them being deflected by the anti-missile the Tiger Sharks have, but most of them managing to land. And one Barracuda is sweeping up nicely. Those Tiger Sharks do not stand a chance, and he has got backup now, luckily in the form of GDP behind him. Although GDP seems to be going south, he spotted a runaway Thunderhead going down south. I'm not really sure why he's chasing it. Let's have a look at the move command. Here he is chasing it. He has got 3 submarines from Alpha ready in the rocket to engage, so I'm not really sure why he's sending them down. He should be sending them north to Jiraj. And I find myself being critical again. Gotta stop being critical, Nibelosky. I'm just waiting for those Barracudas to attack. Although Cyber Navy isn't heralded as perhaps the best, it certainly is one of the most interesting to look at. Certainly. Speed, let's bring it back up to speed. We have a Zooey incursion down here from Alpha, engaging those Auroras. The firing arc, a huge, huge firing arc. But those Auroras are going to sweep them off, being a direct fire unit. Their build capacity is destroyed by the huge, huge volleys. His Auroras remain fairly unscathed, and he has got the Thistles coming in as well as a frigate. Yeah, let's split this up a bit. There we go, press the right button for once. Going to keep an eye on the navies at the bottom and at the top. Jiraj is biding his time. He has got the tech advantage, but ZZ has decided that Jesus, look at all those. That's an absolutely disgusting amount of torpedo launches. Only Tech 1. Trying to keep an eye on that navy. Lost track down here. It does look as if I've not zoomed out properly. It does look as if Alpha's lost the navy down here. And not sure. He's got some FAMs and Zooies as well down here. I'll go back to single screen. really even between the two teams at the moment. Perhaps not in terms of score, but in terms of naval warfare. GDP now really wanting to engage Girage. He's got the Barracudas at the back, as he right well should do. And there's a Cybran on Cybran naval attack. I do find... Is that going... Ah, that'd be worse. I was thinking the frigates do look a bit like go-karts being pushed around. Alpha looking as if he's lost Navy up here. He does have a destroyer out, but that destroyer looks fairly isolated. He will need some backup coming in. He does have a secondary destroyer, so a good bit of micro, just like Girage with his Barracudas, will sweep up nicely. Those destroyers with a great sort of torpedo capability as well. But a couple of Exodus classes, boom, and there goes the first destroyer. He's microing that absolutely beautifully. The Exoduses can't seem to quite pin him down. The Uoshiva? He's doing really well there, Alpha. Oh, and luckily getting caught out by the radius damage. Absolutely huge amount of range, those Exoduses, but they're not accurate at all. It is like a cannon rather than a laser. He's gonna need more help. There's a couple of shimmers coming out as well. He does have a cruiser coming out in aid, which might be able to pick off some of these Auroras, but there he goes. And Girage having been really nailed and pushed back. If I slow it down, let's have a look at the base and see what's going on. Girage looking as if he's gone for a Tech 2 dominant navy with the Tech 1 naval support as well. In terms of the base, oh, Girage, what are they doing? As if he's preoccupied elsewhere. Not a great deal going on in Girage's base. Down here, so far we've got a few kennels going up. Hopefully get some air up for Saxonia. Build capacity, desperately trying to get those Tech 3 mass extractors up online. Sinkmaster sitting very happily in his base with some beautifully arranged mass extractors. Does he have a double? No, he only has single. He's a Tech 2 HQ here, Tech 1 naval in support. On the other side, I'm going to actually slow it down, way slow down. Before we miss that naval engagement. Over here we have GDP, triple air factory, looking as if he's economising as well. He's got another Tech 3 mass extractor upgrade on the way. His commander with hives. I'm not sure whether, are those hives going to reach? Oh, I don't know whether they will. Be interesting to see. Keep an eye out. That's anything with Seraphim Navy. I believe it builds on the right-hand side. I know it's the opposite side of what is usually the side for every other faction. Down here we have a fairly devastating base. Actually, I'm not sure what I missed down here. I'm sure when I zoomed out I might have seen it. Looks as if ZZ's had a bit of trouble in his base, or where are these controlled Ks? Lost a load of power, it looks like. And down here, Alpha, transport, and is trying to get some mass storage around, but nothing remarkable in his navy. He's got a Tech 2 naval factory, Tech 2 HQ. In fact, actually, he's gone triple Tech 2, so he is further ahead. But has he got the economy to support it at 53, which is actually a third of what his counterpart has? We bring it back up to +2 and get us some observer fog of war. A bulwark shield boat coming in to assist. Yeah, and an assistant ping going down on Girage's navy. GDP bringing his navy back. Looking pretty, I don't know, it's still pretty healthy, but it's un-out-teched. And down here, oh, Alpha, those Exoduses are picking off one by one those Zuis, just not direct fire units. He's got a few FAMs on the border, but it's not going to be able to help him that much. And despite having the southern island very early, Alpha has looked to have lost it. The north as well. with that tactical retreat from GDP, it looks as if that is a massive naval incursion from Girard. He's bided his time very nicely, and the remains of that island are now just being picked up by those Exodus classes. It's absolutely insane amount of range on an Exodus class. Look how far that goes. We look at Sync Master, I mean, that is a ludicrous amount of range. When we compare that to something, I don't know whether we've got any Salems from Girard, if you remember that from there. Yeah, we do. I'm going to pick the right one or the wrong one. Can't ever see what I'm looking at. He's been gifted the Bulwark as well. I definitely saw a Salem. There was definitely one there. There he is. Maybe I stand corrected. Salem, never can remember which is actually the limit. I'm sure it's the red circle for their amount of range. Maybe I'm incorrect. Always felt like the Exodus had more range. Maybe you can say in the comments. But anyway, enough of my lack of knowledge. A huge naval incursion. And that Tech 1 from GDP is not going to survive the day. It's not what's on the water that's going to kill him. It's what is below the water. Girard with I believe a number Tech 3 platform. Having said that, where have his Barracudas gone? I can't actually see them. There they are. He's got two underneath there, which are going to sweep out the Tech 1 subs. Ooh dear. He does have a Salem in defence. He's got a few bits and pieces behind here, but Girard has won that comprehensively. And a few Coopers now in the mix as well. I've got that extra bit of support. Can't say I've ever been the biggest fan of the Cooper. I find it quite a frustrating unit. Why on earth the UEF have built a submarine, well it should have been a submarine, which actually floats on the water. It drives me nuts because it exposes it to attacks from pretty much every other naval craft. I'd much rather have a Barracuda in the water. And I think really the reason why Girard is having to be quite tentative in his attack is the fact that there are so many Tech 1. Good God. So many Tech 1. I'm not sure whether Zizi's got the range though. It is quite significant. But is it enough on those Salems? I don't think it is. I think it's going to be outranged quite a lot. And because the torpedo launches, the top part is over the water, I'm afraid to say it's going to get hit by those Salems. Alpha asking for help on his resource, on his commander. He's got some in reserve. He's got a cruiser and a couple of destroyers in wait. Biding his time at the bottom is Sync Master. We bring it back up to speed. Actually quite a lot of action going on. Those Coopers are, despite being above the water, are going to fire a whole host of torpedoes. You can see them tracing through the water there. And those cruisers and Salems are now in range of that factory. Oh dear me. I have to give it to GDP. He has absolutely slogged it out to the best of his ability. He has taken air and navy for Team 2 over here beautifully. In fact, he has taken it comprehensively, the air game, from Team 1. I'm afraid that will end shortly though, as the only air he has are interceptors, and I have spotted over here some ASFs being pushed out. Saxonia having done, if I'm honest, not a great deal, because he's not had to. He's happily stayed in his base. He's very mass heavy at the moment, 220 mass income, and that's just gifted him the ability. Both of his naval counterparts have pushed incredibly well, and have given him the opportunity to tech nicely. Those cruisers wailing away on those torpedo launchers. Torpedo launchers are great, no doubt about it, but they cease to be useful beyond their tech phase. Having said that, he's caught out. He's got a few units which have lunged into range of a few of them. That Siren getting the bitter taste of, oh god, a whole host of torpedoes. Those Coopers being sent in to die. Good god, that's a waste of Coopers. I don't think Saxonia realised the range bonus he would have had. Never mind, he keeps sending them in. Just leave the Sirens to take care of them. GDP getting his naval capacity completely destroyed. He does have a few bits and pieces back here, but a simultaneous double-pronged attack with a huge amount of pressure. Exodus is everywhere. Sigmaster doing a beautiful job as well. They're getting those Exodus spam. Just devastating units. Let it never be said that the Aeon Navy is not something to be worried about. Dispatches of those units. An alarm bell should be ringing for Alpha Storm right now. GDP has a little amount of time to figure something out. Has he thought of something? He has! He absolutely has, and that is an absolutely brilliant solution to the naval problem. He's got a couple of harms, second one nearly being done. That is a great idea. That will buy him the time to prevent those naval units coming in. A couple of harms will not only keep them at range, it will damage them profusely before. I don't know whether Jirash has any idea. No, he doesn't. He won't have any idea. Sadly for Alpha, though, he needs to bring that build capacity back. He can use it better to just offering veterancy to those Exodus destroyers, and he has lost one of his factories. Alpha thinking he might be able to get away with it. He is producing. Bring those back. Get that Tech 3 sub out as quickly as you can, Alpha. You might be able to take down a few of those Exoduses before they reach the shoreline. But this does look as if Team 1 have the reins on the game at the moment. A few cruisers coming up in support. I'm just trying to keep an eye on both naval battles at the moment. And it looks, really, if I were to summarise the game that Team 1 and Team 2 have had, over here has been tech with a lack of map advantage, and over here has been numbers with map advantage. They took a lot of the map very early on, a naval dominance in form of both of the islands at the front here, but they've just let the tech escape them. There's a move command going down on GDP, probably from one of his teammates, saying pull back your commander as soon as possible. I'm not sure whether he needs to. I really don't. Those harms will wreak havoc on that navy. I'm going to keep an eye on both here. I'm going to go back to split screen and see what Alpha's going to do. Let's keep an eye on these harms. Absolutely love harms. They are a get out of jail free card for the player that has thought to themselves, I've lost the navy, but I can still defend the shoreline. They are absolutely devastating, disgusting amount of health, 10 and 11,000 health on the both of them. And those will wreak absolute havoc. Look at them stripping the Salem of its hit points. And because they're below the shore, they're below the ocean, they won't be hit by the Salems or the Tridents or the Sirens. So, being smart as he is, he's bringing his navy back around. He's not going to contest with those harms. He's going to try and get a looking down the south. I go back to... Ah, goodness me, there we go. ZZ trying his very best, heroically, to prevent a few broadswords coming down. That's a great solution on those destroyers. Exodus is nailing the base of Alpha. That's a great teammate. That is teamwork right there. He's got some ASFs in support. I'm not sure whether, surprisingly, yes, I was going to say, I think Saxonia needs to get a move on. I don't know why those ASFs are sat in his base. He doesn't really need them there. Those broadswords being taken down with the anti-air of the cruisers at the back. As much as he liked to have helped and prevent it, it does seem like an inevitability now. Could be wrong, I don't know. When I thought about it, Saxonia does seem somewhat distracted. Oh, I'll have a quick look at his base. What is he distracted by? What is he pumping in? Bah, bingo, there we go. He's got strategic missile defense, which means, I'm pretty sure, yes, I knew I saw the defense, I'm sure I saw the launcher. That launcher is nearly completed. I'm not sure whether or not anybody does. I don't think Alpha does. No, he doesn't. Shield's going up to defend himself. Broadsword's being pumped out. Is there a defense? Look for the symbol. Where is the defense? He does have one in the clip. He does have one in the clip. Smart man. Will that cover off most of his island? Detected. There goes the nuke. Oh, depends where that nuke is going. Oh dear. Where's that gonna go? We'll track it. It does look as if it's going to the northern half of the island. If he'd hit just down here, he would have taken out ZZ's commander, but it does look as if they're safe from a nuke for the time being. ASF's causing absolute havoc over the base of Team 2. Naval lockout at the bottom here. ZZ's making a run for it, because he can see that the Salems have made it onto land. Such a cheeky thing to do. Sprouting legs. Salem sitting pretty at the moment, taking a direct hit from an Exodus there. Governor class cruisers, what are they firing at? They must be firing at the Tech 3 factory, because they are out of range and they won't hit the harms anyway. Yeah, Girage congratulating his team. Really tricky actually in the closing stages to say who's played better in this game. Of course, Team 1 have won, but all players have had their unique spin on the game so far. We put this back up to Team 2, Team 2 plus 2. I find it fascinating. Alpha has brought his commander back. Is he on an upgrade? No, he's not. So he's abandoned ZZ. ZZ throwing down his own life to try and keep the base supported. Because of course he knows very well if he doesn't keep this base up and running, it seems almost inevitable really. He doesn't keep that base running, it's over, and it looks as if a huge cascading amount of fire. It's almost fire at will target practice for both of them now. Again, GDP choosing the right solution. He's just too late. He has some Tech 3 sub-hunters which will give him the range. If you look at the range of that now that is a massive amount of range. He's got to keep him away from the Barracudas though, which he is doing nicely. He's got a Tech 3 HQ back there, and a bug out from Girage, having got air dominance via Saxonia. Saxonia managing to get the most amount of max Sync Master as well, capitalising on the top and bottom islands. It's as if it is now damage limitation and last stand territory. Hats off to ZZ, he's managed to bring back the base. I don't know what Alpha's doing up here. If my base was under attack, I would defend it, especially if I got one of my allies trying to fill the gaps. I think Alpha's just pretty much thrown in the towel. He's only on 62 mass. Should be able to do something. And Girage requesting assistance from the air down here for his bug. Is there any anti-air in there? There's... oh no, limited anti-air. Getting up a fat boy is easy. Trying to get rid of that naval problem. He's got a few stingers, but that's not going to be enough for a 90,000 hit point experimental. ZZ, you played one hell of a game, my friend, but I'm afraid it has had to come to a close. Agreeably, Alpha ZZ not happy with Alpha at the bottom here, because he abandoned his base and he had to pick up the slack. I think Alpha could have probably helped. I think Alpha's pretty much AFK. And the second person, that bug, funnily enough, not firing on Alpha. Strat bomb going in, and funnily enough, Alpha surviving his teammates. And that is the end of the game. Absolutely cracking game. That thoroughly enjoyed casting that one. Brilliant. Well, I have to say, having looked at that in sort of the conclusion, it's quite difficult to say who really played better. Of course, as usual, throw some comments into the comment section. Who you thought played well, played badly, in your personal opinion. My opinion of that game. Very difficult to say. Of course, if you were to look at it objectively, I'd have to say like Saxonia and Girage, great naval play, and Saxonia managed to push out, air domination because he wasn't really assaulted. But out of all the players on there, the one that I have to say I noticed the most in much of ingenuitive tactics, I think I have to give my man of the match goes to GDP, despite the fact that he wasn't the highest scoring player in the game. I think he mixed it brilliantly. I thought he had a good naval presence. He tried to push. He had air as well, and he had really cool tactics there with the harms and the Tech 3 sub hunters. Fought within an inch of his life. Also, I'd like to ask what type of replays you guys actually want. I've not asked this before. And I'm really curious to know, because I keep flip-flopping between different types of replays, and I'm going to open it up in the comment section whether or not you are interested in more replays with higher ranked pro players, more AvJo games, more games including myself in vanilla, Supreme Commander, as narcissistic as that sounds. I don't want it to all be about myself, but if that interests you as viewers, I'd be more than happy to upload any more replays that I tend to be involved with. So any other replays, any other game modes, let me know. Fingers crossed I will be able to get them to you as soon as possible. But until then, thank you very, very much for watching, and I will see you next time.